The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Central Fire District, Idaho, on your new fire apparatus, job number 31815. Please utilize this job number when referencing your vehicle with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. Let's get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Let's start down at the front bumper, first starting with the two open-ended tow hooks located under the front bumper. You also have a right and left sweep. Moving up onto the bumper face, you'll find your electronic siren and PA speaker. Moving up onto the cowling itself, you'll find two head beams, low beam and high. The inner beam is the high beam and the outer is low. There are two grille emergency lights. Located up onto the side, you'll find right and left air horns. Moving all the way up onto the top, by the Kenworth logo, you'll find the grab handle for tilting the hood. Let's take a look at the side of the apparatus. You'll find on the side bumper an emergency warning light. Moving up onto the fender, you'll find a marker and turn indicator light. Moving down onto the side, just by the step, you'll find the release mechanism for tilting the hood on the right and left side. You have Alcoa wheels with Goodyear tires. You'll find your aluminum polished diesel fuel tank, silver tank being diesel, the blue cap being your DEF tank. And at the very bottom, difficult to see in this image, but the next image will be a little easier, you have an LED light underneath for your steps. Let's move into the cab area. First, let's talk about some warning indicators and also some information regarding your apparatus and caution and hazard stickers. They are located throughout your apparatus. Please make note of those. Looking at the side of the seat, you're going to find your Pierce manufactured placard. This is for Central Fire District, date of manufacture. It also has the job number in addition with the VIN number. Also located here are your fluid capacities, weight capacities, and additional information about your apparatus. Just beneath that, into forward position of that, you'll find the master battery switch. Up on the dash, about left knee location, you'll find your ACC off on start switch and also your dim for dash panel lights. There are also two future switch locations if you choose. Moving to the left, the first foot pedal is going to be for your tilt steering wheel and telescope. Moving to the right, the center, you'll find your brake treadle. And moving all the way to the very far right, you'll find your accelerator. Let's go ahead and take a look at the dash once again. We'll identify some of those items. First, your dome light. You also have an internal engine fan that you can turn on or off. It is illuminated. You'll find the light down at the very bottom of the switch. Let's move up to the dash, first starting on the left-hand side with your volts, water temperature, and oil pressure. Let's move to the center of the column area. You'll find your speedometer and tachometer, and you'll also find a digital display just above. To the right-hand side, you're going to find your primary air brake, fuel, secondary air brake, and parking application. Moving to the right, you'll find your transmission temperature, air filter, and your DEF level. To the right down low, you're going to find your climate control. Starting on the left, we're going to start with the start-stop switch. This is for your regen or emissions control. You also have future switches. Starting on the left-hand side, first your hazard lights. Moving to the right, you'll find the engine logo with the small round circle. That is going to be your retarder, engage, and then moving to the right, increase or decrease. Moving further to the right, the speedometer looking switch is going to be your cruise control. Move further to the right, you'll find the set resume switch. And then moving all the way to the far right, looks like a tire. This is your traction control. Let's go ahead and move up further up onto the dash itself. Slightly to the right, we're going to find your headlight information. This is your headlights, parking lights, and running lights. Moving further over, you'll find your AM/FM stereo. Just up on top of the dash, above hanging from the ceiling, you'll find your
backup camera monitor. Also, just above that, you'll find this caution light, which indicates do not move your apparatus when the light is on, indicating that you have something deployed or you have a compartment door open. You have 3 protected switches here. These are for your differential lock. There are 3 combinations for those. Further to the right, you'll find your system parking brake, pull to apply, push to release. Moving further up onto the dash, you're going to find your Allison transmission pad with a digital readout. Moving further to the right, you'll find your pressure gauge. This is going to read digitally. Moving down further, you'll find information here regarding your pump shift. There are 3 indicator lights here for OK to pump, pump engaged, and OK for pump in motion, and also an engage or disengage. Moving down to the set of switches, we'll start at the upper left with your emergency master. This will control all emergency lights. Moving to the right, you'll find your roof light, front warning, side warning, lower rear warning, and upper rear warning. To the far right, your load manager. Down to the next, you'll find your horn selection switch. And also moving to the right, you'll find your driver scene, rear scene, passenger scene, and then your rear dump valve, indications here for open valve, closed valve, and then also your high idle. You'll find your water tank down at the next one, folding tank rack, door open, low voltage, those are all red, battery on, and OK to engage are green. Moving up to the very top, you'll find on the outer edges here, the covers are protecting the barrel style 12 volt access. Up at the very top, you're going to find the driver's side front and passenger side front road sweeps for open and close. And down in the lower section down is your PA system and electronic siren. You also have map book storage or additional storage locations for binders. Let's go ahead and take a generalized view here. Some of the options, we'll talk about those here in the next set of images. Just wanted to give you a couple items here as we get started. Let's start first with the pump panel. Starting in the upper left-hand corner in the gray area, this is your master pump intake and also your master discharge. In between, vacuum and pressure test ports. Moving to the right, this is going to be your relief valve controls and also strainer on-off. Moving further to the right, this is your auxiliary engine just inside the grub area. And then all the way to the right, this is going to be engine information here regarding engine temperatures, voltage, oil pressure, and water temp. There's also an audible alarm and a check transmission indicator. To the right, you'll find a set of switches. Moving to the left, you'll find your color-coded and gauge information and also the identifier via number for the cross lays and also additional discharges. Moving to the right, you'll find your idle switch and also for your control. You'll find real discharge, tank refill, and recirculating line. In the blue section is your water level. Moving down, there are 2 turns, which is going to be your recirculating line and engine cool, and your Pierce gauge here for 150, 250, and 200 psi test pressures. You also have a pull tank to pump. Moving further down, you'll find your electric prime, and then moving further over, you'll find an additional electric prime. Please see the caution information just below that, and also the warning labels for only trained personnel should operate your pump. Moving further to the right, you'll find also a warning label here regarding pressurized caps and the associated hazards when removing them. The cap with the Eagle American flag Pierce logo, that is your large diameter intake. Further to the right is a pan access door for gaining access behind the panel. Starting on the left, this is your shore power inlet. You have a 20 amp shore power auto eject. Just above that, you'll find your auto charger indicator, and to the very far right, you'll find your pump drain. Moving down to the lower left-hand side, this is your air inlet. It is an auto eject. And also you have a direct tank fill 2.5 inch. To the right, you'll find your auxiliary side inlet. This is the 2.5 inch auxiliary inlet into the pump. And moving further to the right, you'll find all of your discharges. These are all of the drains associated with those discharges. Down the lower left, this is going to be your Watrous pump placard, indicating the type of pump that you have and date of manufacture, capacity. Looking overhead, these are the 2 crosslays, crosslay number 1 and crosslay number 2. To the right of the crosslays and inside the grub area, you'll find your red or booster line. Moving to the side of the apparatus, the first image here is indicating that you have a visual indicator for your tank level. You also have 2 side-facing floodlights. We'll move down and talk a little bit about some of the items also on the side. First, a side marker turn indicator. Moving further back to the center area between the 2 duals, you'll find an emergency warning light. Located on the wall, you'll find your auto charging system. When plugged into shore power, the 20 amp plug here will energize, allowing your auto charger to turn on. and will charge your batteries. Moving further back to the next compartment, you can see you have an adjustable shelf currently in a fixed position. As we move further back, you'll see your Goodyear tires and Alcoa wheels. Moving further back in between those duals, you'll find an emergency warning light, which I identified earlier. Let's go ahead and take a look at the rear section here. Once again, Alcoa wheels, Goodyear tires. Let's take a look at the very last compartment in this configuration. This is a smaller compartment here. Once again, adjustable shelf. Let's go ahead and take a look at the very top, just some close-ups. Once again, this is your tank location here for the indication for how much water is in your tank. Also the combination of side-facing floods and emergency warning lights on the very back. Here's a rear section here of the apparatus. We'll break down those components next. Let's start down at the under section of the bumper. 2 LED lights here. Moving up just above the tailboard, we'll find your tail light cluster. This houses the brake, turn, and also reverse and emergency light. You're also going to find a set of switches. The lower switch is going to be your switch for activating your dump valve. The switch at the very top is going to be for activating your rear scene lights. Moving to the right, you'll find an attachment point on both the right and left side of the dump valve. Moving up to the top, you'll find a rear discharge. This is a 2.5-inch discharge. This is an image of the dump, which is a swivel and also extends. Moving up onto the top, this is the electric motor that controls that dump valve. Let's go ahead and move all the way to the very far right-hand side. This is going to be your direct fill, 2.5-inch. And as we move further up onto the body, you'll find additional warning and hazard labels regarding riding on the apparatus and the hazards associated with that. Here's an image here showing those 2 attachment points. Let's go ahead and just take a quick look here at the general view of the back of the apparatus to point out the ladder also. First, let's take a look at your indicator here for your tank. Green, blue, yellow, and red. And then you also have 2 rear-facing floods, and in the very center, a reverse camera. Go ahead and move up onto the top of the apparatus for hose storage, and also your inlet for fill for top fill water. Moving up to the grub box area, you're going to find this red tank indicating for fuel. To the right, you'll find your Honda engine. Let's go ahead and move to the left here of the red line. This is going to be the location for that slot wrench, which is in case you have power failure or need to roll that hose manually. Also to the right of it, you'll also find the tensioner. Also in this image, you're going to see the manual pump here for priming that fuel tank. Let's take a look at the side of the apparatus here. You can see with your equipment rack in place, it's currently in the up position. Let's move forward with the compartments open, same configuration. We do have something slightly different in the very first compartment, which we'll point out in just a moment. Side-facing floodlights and also emergency lights at the very top. This is the lower rear compartment. There's adjustable shelf and also LED strip lighting with inside. The image now is depicting the equipment storage location for your porta tank. The same items that are on the other side, no need to go over those, but let's go ahead and move to the very front compartment where I identified something that was unique inside the compartment. First, adjustable shelf once again in this compartment, but let's move all the way forward to that front compartment. You'll find this diamond plate cover. Inside this diamond plate cover are going to be your batteries. Let's go back up onto the side of the apparatus. You can also see that you have a side-facing flood and also a tank level indicator. Let's go ahead and focus now on the mid-section here of your pump panel. Let's first start at the very bottom section. There is LED lighting underneath and also a step. But now we'll go ahead and move up from this location, talk about some of the items in the pump panel. First, you can see all of your manifold drains here. These are twist not turns, and then all of them down on the very bottom, those are levers, and those can also work as your drains for crosslay 1, 2, and also your passenger side number 2. You do have a auxiliary side inlet, 2.5-inch, and an emergency light. Moving upward, you'll find once again the American flag with the eagle on it, large diameter intake, You're also going to find your warning label here regarding pressurized caps and associated hazards. Moving further to the right, you'll find your 2.5-inch discharge. And then let's move all the way up to the top here. We'll find a pan style door. In that door is going to be access behind the pump panel. And then just to the right of that, you're going to find first your powered rack equipment, but I would like to point out the danger sticker here. There's also a master on off and also an up or down for lifting that equipment rack. Here's your access point with the door open. Just above this location is where you'll find your crosslays for crosslay 2 and crosslay 1. Generalized front view of your apparatus. All of your steps have required NFPA lighting located here, as you can see. Let's move to the cab just inside. This is the passenger seat comfort controls on the right hand side of the seat and also in the front section of the seat. Let's go ahead and look toward the dash area. First, you'll find your vehicle data recorder. This is a port, and then just beneath that, an audible speaker. On the left, you'll find your air horn of the dash. Congratulations, Central Fire District, Idaho, on your new fire apparatus. If you have any questions regarding this fire apparatus, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Congratulations and good luck. Thank you.